Hello everyone. I talk about our paper Arithmetic Circuits Mystery of Division and Truncation. I'm Gaurav Jindal from TU Berlin. This is joint work with Pranjal Datta, Anurag Pandey, and Amit Sinababu. This talk is divided into two parts. The first part deals with complexity of polynomial division, and the second part deals with complexity of unit polynomial obtained by truncation of power series. Let's move on with the first part. So first, let me motivate the problem of eliminating division in arithmetic circuits. So suppose we can compute two polynomials G and H efficiently, right? I have not made this thing precise G and H. What does it mean to compute G and H efficiently? What does it mean to compute polynomials? And further, suppose that H divides G. Then we ask the question, can we also compute this polynomial G over H efficiently? So now let me try to make these terms compute and efficiently more precise. So we make these terms more precise by defining the notion of arithmetic circuits. So every arithmetic circuit is just a directed acyclic graph with leaf nodes which are variable or constant, and then we have intermediate gates which are either addition or multiplication gates, and then uh, every gate of this such a circuit computes a polynomial in a very natural way, right? The leaf gate computes the polynomial which they are labeled by, and then every gate computes the polynomial uh, either addition of the children gate or the multiplication of the children gate polynomials. For example, the example circuit which I have shown here did compute the polynomial 10x3 times x1 plus x2 plus x1 plus x2 plus x1, right? And then as we define the size and depth of a circuit in the Boolean case, like so we define size as the number of gates, and the depth is the path of the length of the longest path from the output gate to any leaf. We can define the same notions in the arithmetic circuit case also. Now let me define the circuit complexity of a polynomial. So the arithmetic circuit complexity L of f of a polynomial of a n-varied polynomial f, which can be taken over any field, but for the sake of simplicity, let's consider it over the field of complex numbers. This is defined as the size of the smallest circuit which computes this polynomial f, right? For example, the polynomial which I showed you on the previous slide, this f that had a circuit of size 10. So the complexity of this polynomial is at most 10. It may be less than 10, but it's at most 10 because we showed a circuit of size 10 for it. Now let me state the central, the holy grail conjecture in the field of arithmetic complexity. For this, let me first recall this polynomial determinant and the polynomial which is defined as the determinant of the n cross n matrix. So this is defined as sum over all these permutations. And then for each permutation, we have the sign of the permutation, and then we have a monomial, which is defined as product I in n xi sigma I. So this is the well-known determinant polynomial. So one can show that this polynomial has poly-size circuits, right? And then we can also define its cousin polynomial, which is almost the same, but we drop the sign thing of the sign of the permutation. And then the connector of volume, which states that the arithmetic circular complexity of the permanent is a super polynomial in N. Right now, let me move on to the division in the circuit. So when I define L of f for a polynomial f, I only use addition and multiplication gates, right? Then what happens when if we also use division gates, right? And then there is this lemma that if we can compute f using a size s circuit which also uses division along with addition and multiplication, then we can compute two polynomials g and h whose complexity is also small. If the complexity of f was s using division, then complexity of g and h is at most 6s, but they don't use division, g and h, such that f is G divided by H. Right. So there is this problem of division elimination with the problem 1, which asks that if I can compute a polynomial f using a circuit of size S which uses division, can I also compute this polynomial by a division-free circuit of size poly S? Then there is this problem 2, which says that if I have two polynomial G and H whose arithmetic circuit complexity is at most S and also H divides G, then is it true that arithmetic circuit complexity of G over H is poly S, right? Because of the lemma which we saw in the previous page, we can see that these two problems are actually same asymptotically. Right. So what is known about division elimination? So Strassen showed that if F can be computed by arithmetic circuits of size S using divisions, then we can eliminate these divisions, but then we have to pay a polynomial blow up in the size of a circuit which computes F also, but also in the degree of F. But if the arithmetic circuit complexity of F is S, then the degree of F can be exponential in S, right? So if the degree of F is really high, then this result of Strassen would not imply poly of S, right? So look at this example where G is x to the 2 to the s minus 1 and H is x minus 1, then this result of Strassen would imply that that L of F is 2 to the of S. But one can show by a recursive argument that actually in this case, for this G and H, the complexity of F, which is G over H, is actually poly of S, right? So the Strassen result is useful when the polynomial which you get after dividing this polynomial S, if this has low degree. For example, in the case of determinant, we had low degree, right? The degree of the determinant is n. So if you compute determinant using some kind of Gaussian elimination, then you might use division. But then Strassen says that, oh, you don't need to worry, you can remove this division by paying a poly of the degree of F circuit blow up. And then in the case of determinant and also in every low degree polynomial, then this blow up is not too large, so you are fine. But it might happen that the degree of F is large, and then Strassen would give you exponential upper bound. So our result somehow remedies this case. So our result says that if you have two polynomials G and H, and the arithmetic circuit complexity of G is S1 and arithmetic circuit complexity of H is S2, and then H divides G, then arithmetic circuit complexity of G over H is at most S1 O of S1 plus S2, and then you pay a quadratic blow up in the degree of H. Right. So essentially, it says that if the polynomial which you are dividing by, if that has low degree, then you are fine. You can still compute this G over H efficiently. Right. Uh, so this improves exponentially on the Strassen result when the degree of H is poly of S1 and the degree of F is exponentially less. Right. Now let me try to give you some idea how this result is proved. So first, let's consider the simpler case when G and H are just univariate polynomial, right? So C is a circuit of size L of G which computes G, and we want to convert this circuit of G to some new circuit which will compute this polynomial G over H. So what we do, so we split in this new circuit, we will have two gates for each gate of C. So suppose there was some gate C, some gate in C which was computing this polynomial P, right? So we can write P as QH plus R, where Q is the quotient. When I divide P by H and R is the remainder. In the new circuit, what do I want is that I want that I should have two gates. One computes Q and another computes R. Right, and then I can just propagate these quotient and remainders as I go, as I traverse the circuit upwards. So if there was addition gate whose children were computing polynomial P1 and P2. So by induction hypothesis, I already have polynomial which compute. I already have gates in the new circuit which computes this polynomial Q1, Q2, R1, R2, right? So then I can just add the remainders R1 R2 to get the remainder for P mod H, and then I can also add the quotient to get the quotient for P to get the quotient of P modulo H. So if I have a multiplication gate, then I can almost do the same thing, but then in this case, P mod H is R1 R2 mod H, and then P div H, the quotient is this quantity which I have written here, right? The first three terms in this P div H, they are quite easy to compute because I have already computed these QIs and RIs. So the only difficult term is the last term in the quotient, and for the remainder I need to compute this R1 R2 mod H, right? These are the only remaining things which are left to complete the induction hypothesis. But notice that because R1 and R2 are low degree polynomials, both R1 R2 mod H and R1 R2 div H also are low degree polynomials. So their degree is at most degree of H minus 1. Right? So they have degree of H minus 1, they have degree of H many monomials. So I can just compute every monomial naively, and then I can just compute R1 R2 mod H and R1 R2 div H by a naive method, and I pay a cost of size of dh, right? So then for every gate of C, I might create of dh many gates in the new circuit, right? So I get a circuit of size which is the circuit of size of G times dh. Dh is the degree of H. So we pay a blow up of degree of H. So now let's try to adapt this strategy to the multivariate case. So first, what I do is that the difficulty in the multivariate case is that I don't even know how to define this modulo and this quotient and remainder operations, right? In the multivariate case, they are not well defined, but they are well defined if I assume H to be monic in Xn. Right? So then I can just treat H is a univariate polynomial in Xn, and then I'm fine. But this somehow you can always assume by using some invertible linear transformation of the variable. So from now on, I just assume S to be monic in Xn, right? So again, we have a circuit C of size L of G with compute G. Now I want to transform this circuit to a circuit which computes polynomial G over H, right? So in the unit case, we split every gate into two gates, one computing the remainder and another computing the quotient. So here we cannot do exactly the same. So what we do is that we instead of just computing remainder and quotient, we compute the quotient as it is, as we are doing in the unit case. But now remainder. So if I look at the remainder modulo H, it will look like it will be a degree dh minus one polynomial in the variable Xn, right? So instead of just computing R, I want to additionally compute this. I want to compute the coefficients of R, right? This Ri. So in this new circuit, for every gate in the circuit C, I will have dh plus many gates, dh plus one many gates, right? The first dh many gates will compute these coefficients of the remainder, and these coefficients are polynomial in degree in the first n minus one variables. And the last gate computes the quotient as it was in the unit case. Right. So now we want to propagate this Ri's and Q to in case of multiplication and addition gates. So if P is the addition gate, if P is completed by a addition gate, then as in the unit case, I can just sum the remainder and the quotients to get the remainders for P. If I had the remainders and quotient for P1 and P2, it's exactly the same. The only tricky part is the multiplication gate. So if I want to compute the remainder and the quotient for the multiplication gate, Then I have the same equation here. P mod h will be AB mod h and P div h will be exactly the same. And then I have this AB div h, where A and B are the remainders for P1 and P2 respectively. Then I can use polynomial long division now, which we can do by paying an additional blow of size dh square, and this long division will give me the AB div h and also the coefficients of AB mod h. Okay, so let's move on to the second part now. This part deals with the complexity of unit polynomial. In particular, the unit polynomial which we obtain by truncating the power series, right? So suppose A is a power series. And then I define the degree truncation of A to be the trun to be the polynomial where I just forget the terms after degree D in the power series A, right? So I just keep the terms up till degree D. So truncation of A, I define it using trunk of AD. It's just a degree D polynomial, right? So then suppose I have a unit polynomial family FD, which is indexed by this index D, and I also assume that the degree of FD is D. We say that this polynomial is easy if the arithmetic complexity of FD is polylog D. Otherwise, we say it's hard. Right. So in this part, we want to study the complexity of polynomial families, which are obtained by truncation of power series. We somehow want to characterize that. Also, what power series truncation gives easy polynomial families, and what power series truncation gives give hard polynomial families. Right. So the first part we show an upper bound. We show that if the power series was obtained by a if the power series was actually a rational function, then the truncations of that power series are easy to compute. So this theorem states that if G and H are constantly polynomials, then the truncations of this uh, power series F, which is G over H, they are easy to compute. And how does one prove this lemma in this theorem? So here, this famous partial fraction decomposition comes handy. So this states that if I have two polynomial G and H, and the degree of G is less than degree of H, then I can write G over H as the sum of terms of this form Bij over X minus AI to the J, where AIs are the roots of H, right? And then by a very same argument, by a very similar argument where one shows that the truncation of 1 over X minus 1 is easy, we can also show that the truncation of 1 over X minus A is easy. Then if we differentiate these truncations of 1 over X minus A, we uh, we obtain the truncations of 1 minus X to X minus A to the J also, right? And then we sum up these truncations to obtain the truncation of G over H using partial fraction decomposition. This idea is quite simple and shows that truncations of rational functions are easy. But so if you look carefully, then rational functions are nothing but algebraic functions whose minimal polynomial has degree 1, right? And then one can ask that uh, are algebraic functions of higher degree are also hard or easy? So to answer that question, let me define a narrower notion of arithmetic complexity. So for any polynomial f, we define tau of f to be the size of the minimal circuit which computes f, but the condition is that the circuit should not use any free constant from the field. It can only use constant which are minus 1, 0, and 1, and then every other constant it has to build by paying the cost of building that constant. So we can also extend this definition to computation of integers, right? So a sequence of integers, we say it's easy if the nth integer in that sequence has complexity polylog, right? Otherwise, we'd say that sequence is hard. So what is known is that this sequence n factorial is if that sequence is easy to compute, if tau of n factorial is polylog n, then we can do integer factorization in polynomial time, right? So Andrews also showed that if the sequence 2n choose n is easy, then n factorial is also easy. And then it's easy to see that if the truncations of this power series square root 1 plus 4x, they are easy to compute, then this sequence is also easy to compute, 2n choose n. So that implies n factorial is easy to compute, and that implies that integer factorization is in polynomial time, right? So we expect that computing truncations of uh, this algebraic power series square root 1 plus 4x to be hard, and this power series square root 1 plus 4x, it has a minimal polynomial of degree 2. Right? So we can ask that, are the higher degree, are there algebraic functions whose minimal polynomial has higher degree and they are also hard, right? As in the case of square root 1 plus 4x. So, and this is the next part of the paper where we show that there are somehow hard algebraic functions. By hard, I mean whose truncation is hard to compute uh, for every degree, assuming that integer factorization is hard, right? So the precise statement is this, that fix any constant k. If the truncations of this k minus 1 power series is if the truncation of all of them is easy, the truncation of power series of the form 1 plus k square x to the power I over k, I is from 1 to k minus 1. The truncations of all these power series is easy to compute. Then integer factorization can be done in polynomial time. Right? So the case k equal to is actually the case of the square root 1 plus 4x. So how does one prove this theorem? So what we show is that if truncations of all these power series are easy, then we show that this integer sequence is easy, which is defined by this capital N of n comma k, right? And then by using a variant of a binary search, variant of binary search as one does in the n factorial case, we show that easiness of this sequence implies efficient integer factorization. Right. So we do not know if easiness of truncations of all these k minus 1 power series imply easiness when factorial. We somehow skip this step and we directly prove that integer factorization is easy if these truncations are easy. So let me show some examples of transcendental power series which are hard and easy. So the first example is the sun sequence, which is defined by this AIs as defined here. If you look at the generative function of this sun sequence, then it is known that generating this power series is transcendental. And then in the paper we show that yeah, truncations of this power series are easy to compute. And then there are natural candidates for hard transcendental power series also. For example, if you look at this transcendental power series, then yeah, if we could compute truncations of this easily, then n factorial would also be easy to compute, and that would imply that integer factorization is easy. So we expect that the truncations of this transcendental power series should be hard to compute. So now let me sum it up. So in the first part, we essentially showed that if you want to divide by low degree polynomials, then you don't have to worry. You only have to pay a polynomial cost in the degree of the polynomial by which you are dividing. And our division complexity upper bound is robust in the sense that it also holds for the border complexity. We also showed that the truncation of a general algebraic function is likely to be hard. And we also showed that truncation of all the rational functions is easy. And we also showed some examples of transcendental power series which are easy to truncate, and then also one example where truncation is conditionally hard. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for listening.